I just got something in the mail. Check this out. Surfboard fin imported from AliExpress from China. Quality, not bad. Rigid. Looks to be smooth, honeycomb. It's pretty. Yeah, I think that's a pretty good buy. Hey, so it's been a while since I've posted any videos on surfboard building. So this is going to be an introduction video announcing that I am indeed building a new board. I'm going to have a whole series probably on this board build. I'm going to build a wooden chambered surfboard. I've never built a wooden surfboard before, so this should be a new challenge for me. I've built a ton of surfboards already, so I feel pretty comfortable in the shaping aspect of foam boards, and I figured it does translate probably pretty well from what I've read over to building wooden surfboards. So my woodworking skills are a little rusty, although, you know, back in shop class and stuff, I was okay at it. I feel pretty comfortable that I should be able to build this surfboard. I'm going to document this journey, so I hope you guys will follow along. So this is just a quick intro video, but since it's so short, I figured I might share my top 5 tips for surfboard building. Not necessarily related to building a wooden surfboard, but more just surfboard building in general. My first tip for surfboard building is just start building. What I mean by that is don't get hung up on all the little details of all the steps on how to build a surfboard from start to finish, because you're not going to build the perfect board that way. You're going to learn better and you're going to get a better build experience if you just do a little research, get the general idea of what you need to do, get a blank, make a blank, and just start shaping and then researching each step as you go so it's fresh in your mind, and then you work at each step, whether it be shaping the blank, laminating, sanding, hot coating, gloss coating, all that good stuff. Take your time and do the research as you go. That way you don't get hung up on all the little details. Trust me, it makes for a much better build experience and for a better surfboard. So just start building. Tip number 2 has to do with buying tools. Don't buy cheap when you're buying tools. If you buy cheap, you generally speaking, buy twice. Spend a little extra and buy a good quality tool if you can afford it. It also depends on your use case. In my experience, if you buy a cheap tool, you're going to get cheap quality, and eventually if you use that tool a lot, you're going to have to buy another one. However, if you don't think you're going to use the tool much, there's nothing wrong with buying a cheap tool, because if you're only going to use it occasionally, then it might not be worth it. But in my experience, I find that if you buy a nice quality tool, not like the highest end, maybe mid-range, you're going to get a much better user experience than buying a cheap tool. For instance, like a palm sander, if you buy something cheap, it probably will wear out quickly. It's not going to last a really long time. There are exceptions to this rule, but I'm just saying generally speaking. I always try to buy the best tool possible, and then I can also use that tool in the future for other projects, or in this case, other surfboard builds. Then again, if that's all you can afford is buying, say, like a cheap palm sander, well, that's better than having no sander at all for sure. But just be aware that it probably, generally speaking, won't last as long as something of a higher quality or maybe a brand name. You're going to save time, you're going to save frustration if you buy a tool that is of good quality. Tip number 3, a clean workspace. I really like tidying up after I'm done for the day. I put away all my tools, or at least I set them aside so I'm not tripping over them. And I do this throughout the day too when I'm working. I only have limited amount of time when I'm working on my projects, especially building surfboards. So I want to clean up. That way when I get back to it, I'm ready to go. I have a fresh workspace and it's nice and clean. This saves me time. It also is safer because you're not tripping on things. And you can find things when you need them, so that's really important too. So I always sweep up after I'm done either shaping foam. If I'm done sanding, I always vacuum up. That way I'm not tracking dust and crap everywhere. So I found that this really helps me save time and helps me be more productive. Tip number 4, trust your eye. When you're building your surfboard, when you're shaping it, trust your eye. If something doesn't look right, it probably isn't right. So double check your measurements, look it all over, look down the line of the surfboard, whether it be you're shaping the rails or the body of the surfboard, or you're foiling it, or you're lining up the fins. Trust your eyes. If something doesn't look right, it probably isn't. I found through experience that by visually taking a step back and looking over the surfboard really well, that I've been able to pick out spots. Even though I've measured it correctly, something seemed a little bit off. So what I like to do is take a step back and look over the surfboard, make sure the lines are nice sweeping lines, there's no weird irregularities or bumps in it. When I'm lining up fin boxes, looking it over, making sure that it looks right. Generally, when I've had an issue, I go back and I remeasure it, and indeed my eye did pick out that there was an issue and I was off by like even an 1/8 or 1/16 of an inch. So for my fifth and final tip, and I struggle what to call this tip, so I'm going to call it diminishing returns. So what do I mean by diminishing returns? Because I sound like an economist when I say that. You're going to spend 90% of your time shaping, laminating, sanding the surfboard. That's going to give you your most return on investment of your time. And that gets you to a board that's perfectly rideable. It's great, you're ready to go in the water and have fun. But if you want to get like something that's a showroom condition, showroom shiny surfboard that really pops, it's going to take you a ton of effort. And in my opinion, that's not what you want to do for your first board. Maybe it is for you. You have to square that away for yourself. Because your first surfboard probably isn't going to be perfect anyway, and trying to put in all that extra effort to make it really perfect might not be worth it. But again, you're going to have to figure that out for yourself. In my opinion, save that for your second, third, fourth surfboards, because you're going to be learning, and it's really hard to get your first surfboard perfect, which kind of is what I alluded to in my first tip. So we're kind of come full circle. So yes, diminishing returns. Alright, so those were some quick tips I thought I would share with you in this video for my intro video for a wooden chambered surfboard build. I am super stoked to be building this surfboard, so I will post videos whenever I can. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. It may not be the next video for this surfboard build, but stay tuned, things will come. Hopefully I don't screw this up, and I'm going to try to have fun while doing this. That is the number one thing, is having fun while building surfboards and surfing. If you're not having fun, why bother to do it? Alright, bye for now.